Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I got a new standing office, so it's quite cool to be able to record a video while standing and not always sitting. After a long day working, it's always cool when you can stand up a little bit. So yeah, UB Battle Report 27, I'm facing Orion for the first game of Crippling Rights 9, which is a UB tournament run by Kazas. Thanks him for the organization, and it's the second time I'm attending this UB tournament. Last time you were also able to follow it on my channel. I did some pre-game analysis in English last time on this channel with Max, aka Lichmeister. This time I'm doing it on the French channel that I also own. So I'm doing it in French, obviously. So I'm trying always to switch a bit the content between English channels and French channel. As I've told you guys, I'm always doing battle report in both language, and the rest of the content is a bit split. Sometimes I will do it something on this channel, and the rest sometimes on the other channel. Just trying to not have always double content, which takes obviously a lot of time. But for me, obviously, the most interesting stuff are the battle reports, so I try to do them in both language. It's also interesting for me to analyze twice the mistakes I did. So yeah, guys, first battle against Orion. This is my list. You saw it multiple times. Don't need to explain it again. Orion is playing Demon Legion. So Vandara's coach, adept of thaumaturgy, Harbinger, adept of evocation, and then 3 times the hereditary spell, the champion. So still a bit of magic, not too much for demon, no master, but still a bit of magic. In core he has a big block of Myrmidons with +1 to hit, 2 times imps, and then in special category he bought himself a big wall to hide the Vandara's coach, which is really a smart idea in my opinion, because he paid the segmented shell. So basically the thing is a big wall with a big base, large base. The special power of segmented shell reduces the multi-wounds by 1, and then you have 7 health points with a ward save as a demon, March 15, so you can be fast, you can be a good wall and hide your Scourge behind, which is smart. So definitely reduces the sensitivity of the Scourge against cannon. This would be totally different, I think, if he doesn't play the Hope of Esther as in this matchup, in this particular matchup, because of course he can protect himself from the cannon, which is always great when you play a big model so expensive. 2-time Blazing Glory with the impact, you know them. The Bloodflies are quite popular at the moment in the demon, with the reroll to wound against large and gigantic, very good against my army. Obviously can deal with cowboys, can deal with a lot of stuff, can do a lot of damage, high mobility, not chaffable, so really good. And then we finish with Sirens. Of course, a bit expensive, but always a threat. I mean, they are so versatile. They can do a lot of stuff. They can chaff, they can kill chaff. They can do so many things. They can go hunt war machines. You have a big movement, you have Feint Flight, Fearless, Discipline 9. I mean, it's crazy the amount of rules, so great choice. Great list by Ivan. We played Marching Column Spoiler 4 for this first game. Decided to go without the Wrath of God. Basically, thought process was he's playing MSU type of list, 1 block of Myrmidon, obviously, but just playing Wrath of God just for getting a couple of Myrmidon less before combat. I don't think it's worth it of the game. And I have to, obviously one of the target would be to reduce a bit the health point on the Blazing Glory, because they are really tough to crack, tough to handle for my hunter, especially, who are hitting them on 5+, which is always a problem. So definitely Trial of Faith rather than Wrath of God. And End of Even, then the usual debuff combo between Hereditary Spell, Smite the Unbeliever, and the Breast Weapon, which is always great when you play MSU. Ivan decided to go, if I remember correctly, with both reroll from Evocation and then Thaumaturgy. I think I made a mistake. I think he has taken Smite and Breast Weapon. So regarding matchup, obviously the big problem for me is the fact that my Death Star is not feeling comfortable in this matchup. His Myrmidon block should be able to deal with me without too much problem. And second aspect is I have good tool to deal with the Scourge, but he has a good wall, so I need to make sure that my cannon can be a threat and that there is some distance between me, the Myrmidon, and the Scourge. When I mean me, I mean the Death Star, obviously. So I think counter deploying in this matchup seems the best option for me, because I need to be in a good spot to be safe after deployment. Obviously, that means as well that my opponent can be a bit more aggressive and come at me by starting the game, which is also a bit of problem when he's likely to play quite aggressive with if you see the magical setup, the fact that he has so many buff, debuff, the fact that he doesn't have a lot of range damage, the fact that he paid the Orb Harvester as a wall for his Scourge, I mean, he's likely to come forward and try to get points in combat. Of course, Orb Harvester has a nasty trick, can do some wounds on my Death Star, and as you know, the Ogre Death Star don't like that much to take wounds before combat. So it could obviously cause me some trouble also in that way with the Orb Harvester. And at the same time, my opponent is quite low on scoring unit, meaning he has only 3 scoring, we have 3 Spoil of War, so I should be able to use my Keen Eater in a smart way to threat a bit this kind of small imps unit, and therefore avoid him getting the token with the imps. Then he will have a choice to make between going for combat with Myrmidon, or basically taking objective, taking a bit more time, and then obviously I can go myself for another token with the Death Star. So that's a bit the idea. Of course, there is the risk that he basically ignore more or less the scenario, come at me, and then try to deal afterwards with the scenario, which is also a possibility because the game is long enough with 6 turns. Deployment, I was able to choose side. I took top. He decided to go first, put 2 Blazing Glory and imps. I put Tribesman, a cat, and a cannon, and then he dropped his entire army with going imps, Myrmidon with the Harbinger, the big Orb Harvester, Scourge, 2 units of Flies, 2nd unit of imps, 2nd unit of Sirens. The first one was here on the left and just vanguarded at this point of time. And yeah, my counter deployment was following, putting the Death Star as much to the left as I could, and then putting 2nd cannon giant and 2nd giant here more over the middle, be able to back up if needed, or threat him as well if he really comes at me. I want something to threat with the flank at the same time. Then I used my tribesman to cover a bit the back line if he decide to go around me with sirens. There is 2 ways to look at it. Either I'm quite happy because if he goes around me, then I should be able to get him and he will not be chaffing me with this 2nd unit. The other way is it will be a threat on my flank and I need to deal with it at some point, and since he has a huge mobility, it's problematic. I vanguarded 1 hunter here, quite far away from Blazing Glory. Of course, I was not able to go outwork, he made sure of that. And on the right, decided to scout here. I could have angled myself a bit more to the right to ensure that I could be able to cover him, but I think in any case it would be very hard to catch him. I think he has Vanguard 6 and then 20, so you can forget that. If I look a bit more here, he could move around here and then go around. He has a lot of possibilities with this unit, so it was hard. I had choices to make. I decided to go look a bit more forward. If the flies come around, I want to make sure they cannot go out of arc of the hunter. That was my idea with looking that way. Okay, let's move on to his turn 1. He comes at me very aggressively, chaffes my Death Star, Cannon and Giant at the same time with 1 unit. Of course, that's strong for Light Cav. He was able to pass the leadership check, which was quite important. With -1, it was the 8 with no reroll to chaff me properly. And then move forward with Myrmidon, the Imps, and 1 Blazing Glory, which is still a bit far away from my Hunter, but not so far away from my threat in the middle. Of course, he wants to charge at me if he can, obviously going for cannon, things like that. Because as he told me after the battle, as long as the Scourge is alive, things go well for him. He moved forward with Siren out of my arcs, leaving me with a 10 on dice and a 12 on the dice with Tribesman. And he moved to the right just to cover me going around, threatening the Imps. Obviously, position of this Hunter could have been better, going maybe more to the center, to make sure that if the Scourge move over here, I can threat him. Then if he keeps with the flies, I can as well counter better the Sirens going around. I think should have been able to avoid that at least, because Sirens coming that aggressive is always going to be a problem for me, I guess. Especially since now they can move around, threat me, and try to make combo charge, things like that, because they are strong in combat. In the first turn, Magic, I cast Smite the Unbeliever against Giant. I dispel that because I'm seeing an opportunity with Giant going for Op Harvester. He has only 4 attack, strength 6. And then I have a couple of attack, strength 7. And if I win, could be able to overrun onto the Scourge, do things like that. So I have some possibilities here. So I want to keep myself open to this alternative to go for the charge. Then he casts Hereditary on the Giant, but fails to wound. He casts a Breath on the Siren and causes 2 wounds to me with strength 5. Dispel the second Hereditary, and he failed the last one. The Imps cause 2 wounds to this guy, but I'm able to save both. So yeah, strength 5 is good in shooting, even with AP 0. That's some saves to do, and I don't like to roll too much saves on a model that has only 4 wounds. So let's move on to my turn 1. I go for it with Giant, as I've told you. I took 2 wounds from last turn, so 7 attack, strength 7. Not bad. He will attack me first, so he's likely to do 1 to 2 wounds. So I might have like 9 attack, strength 7. A good likelihood with a magic face to kill him, and maybe overrun or stay in place. So I like that. Decide to clean the chaff with the Death Star. Didn't move the cannon to have a short range shot at this Blazing Glory. I think that was a mistake, should have moved back. And then this guy just backed up. The idea was, if you charge my Tribesman, I want to be able to counter charge you. You can kill me, you can pursue me, but I want to be able to catch you. And here, yeah, I failed both charges, obviously. I decided to go for it. Failed the 10, failed the 12, and here I just moved a bit around with the Hunter. On the left, no big movement from the other Hunter. In the Magic phase, I rolled a -1 toughness against Op Harvester with 3 dice. Ivan tried to dispel it with 4 dice, failed it. So I was really happy to get Smite off, because wounding on 2+ is really good. And then I was also able to get a Breast Weapon strength 5 on the guy. And finally, 3 dice against 3, I was able to get a try to face on this Blazing Glory and do 2 wounds. So very, very good magic face for me. A bit lucky that my opponent was not able to dispel any of my spells. So quite happy about that. To compensate a bit, both my cannon and 4+ don't hit or wound against the Blazing Glory, which is sad. And then close combat. So here, quite happy. I'm able to do 5 wounds to him. He did only 1 to me. He depop, so quite happy, because the trade-off is quite good. I'm in no wall anymore for the Scourge, taking quite a lot of points. Of course, I will lose a Giant, but the trade-off is not bad for me. And I decided not to overrun. Basically, the idea was, with the overrun, I can come here, he can see me, but that forces him to charge with the flies. Because to go alone with the Scourge, I have 4 wounds left on 5 attack on 2+2+. If he fails some roll, I could go like with 10 attack, strength 7, and you don't like that much as a Scourge. So he would have to charge at me with the flies, meaning I'm sure that as his turn 2, he's pinned in place with both flies and Scourge, which is not bad, because then I have time to deal with the left part of the board. So I think I should have definitely overrun onto the Scourge, but I didn't do it. And here, what I did was the following. I make way with my BSB, because I have only 2 models in contact, the way we were together. The champion is out of contact. Ivan decided to challenge me. I don't think that was the best decision, because this allows me, with my champion, to take the challenge and kill him with a model that was out of contact. And then with the rest of my impact, I did a good amount of wounds, like 7 wounds. But yeah, I think like 4. Yeah, I think 7 wounds, something like that. 7 or 6. And he was able to save a very good amount of them, and I did only at the end 2 wounds, meaning I kill 1, 2, 3 model, which would put us out of contact, of base contact. So basically, how it works is I have to nudge to the right, and he will nudge back a little bit. But the first priority is me moving closest to my cannon, because I'm engaging him on the flank. Which is problematic, because at the beginning I was like on a 12 on the dice from Myrmidon, and now this will bring me really closer to the Myrmidon. So of course with my attack I'm able to deal with them, then reform, but still I'm quite close to him. I made the first mistake with the cannon not moving, being on a 10 Swift Ride on the dice from Myrmidon, which is still a bit problematic. I was thinking he will not take it, but still it's not so far away with 3 dice. And it's the same distance now for the Death Star, which is also quite problematic because, like I've told you at the beginning, I want to avoid him going into my Death Star with Myrmidon at full speed. His turn 2, and what had to happen happened. Charge the cannon, I flee, redirect, charge onto the Death Star. Yeah. I decided not to overrun, so it takes me with Bloodflies. He charges me with the guys. And move it around with the fly on the hill. These guys come together. And this guy decided to charge Death Star. Here as well, I think it would have been, in my opinion, better not to charge, because in case you fail with Myrmidon, you can always move this guy in front of the Death Star to make sure I cannot get any good charge, counter charge, things like that. So I think it would have been better for him maybe to do something else, because if he fails Myrmidon, he ended up like here. Then I can always say, like, okay, my Death Star, in this case, you see, there is nothing to chaff, so I can always say, okay, my Death Star charge you. I have some possibilities. I can charge as well Myrmidon, which is not a discussion than if he charges me. So I think I have much better option. I think it would have been safer for him probably to keep this blazing to chaff me if he fails this charge. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm mistaken. But anyway, aggressive approach paid off because he get this charge off. In Magic, I'm Binding Scroll, Spectral Blade. Of course, rerolling to wound with Strength 5 would be very hard on me. He rolls very well on a Breast Weapon with 3 dice, 15, so I cannot dispel that, so I let that off, rolls a Strength 5. And then he's able to get reroll to hit, and I will dispel with my last dice. He had still an hereditary left on my cannon, I guess, so I dispelled that. What happened after? So, close combat. Here, he kills me, pursues me, but still is within arc of the giant. Here, he kills me, obviously. And here on the left, I took a challenge with the Shaman to avoid me dying against Myrmidon. He takes it with the Harbinger. We do both 1 wound to each other. And then he's able to do 12 wounds to me. So I have all these guys dead, but still I can attack with 5 guys back, and I'm only able to do 3 wounds to him, which is not big, so I'm in auto break mode, obviously out of the board, catches me, catches the cannon, test to reform, yeah, I mean, game over. Game over, guys. So yeah, that's it. We ended up after 2 turns already. Obviously because of 2 big mistakes, I guess. Didn't see coming the nudge thing with the unit, bringing me too close to the Myrmidons, which was a game break charge. And obviously second of these could have been the cannon not coming back, plus the giant not overrunning onto the Scourge. Even if it didn't have that much effect in this case, because the Scourge failed the march and wasn't able to move that much, but still, that was still a mistake in the micro department, so to say, in my opinion. So yeah, that's it already. Well done, Ivan, well done. Good aggro from him, so well done. Nothing to say, he was much better playing than me. I think on the macro level, on the deployment phase, I was rather happy, because I should have been able to avoid an early contact between Death Star, my Death Star, and either Myrmidon or Scourge, because they were not that close to me. But yeah, I wasn't able to achieve that because I made the mistakes, which brought me much closer to him than what I wanted. I wasn't able to take advantage on the flank, you see. I mean, with Bloodflies plus Blazing Glory, he has a bigger amount of threats in comparison to me, and at the same time, he's better to me in a one-on-one. So this is problematic because I wasn't able to be aggressive on the whole board. He was all over me and I was always going to defend, which is always a problem when you play Hunter. You want to go forward and to threat and find some good spot, and in this case I wasn't able to do anything good with my Hunter in the game. And yeah, what can I say? We played a second game, a rematch. Here you have the picture, because I asked Ivan, yeah, of course, you got the 20. I mean, obviously, would you agree to do with me a rematch? Because I was convinced my macro was not so bad, and I really wanted to see if I didn't make this kind of mistakes after turn 1, what would have happened. So he said, yeah, no problem, man. So thank you, Ivan, for a rematch. So basically, he made a similar turn 1, chaffing me a bit better, yeah, covering a bit better, some angles, of course. I made a similar turn 1, but this time I passed this charge on a 10. I was happy about that. Here I was able to charge this time with the giant, who was ready to flee the Myrmidon charge, move back with cannon and the Death Star, just to see what happened. Still same configuration more or less, move around with this guy, things like that. What happened is the following. So here, I'm able to kill the chaff, very good, I reform. Here I made a slight mistakes to be a bit too far away with the shaman. I wanted to be able to blast everybody, but I was a bit too far from the giant, was not able to give the same boost, so I wasn't able to one-shot him. Of course, could have done a bit better, but still, that's something which was missing for me. And here, basically, even if I charge, he was able to win combat and pursue me and catch me, which brings him like in this spot, which is highly problematic because he's on my flank with threats. So what happened next? He charges with Myrmidon against Giant, I have to flee, I flee like over here. He charges with this guy against the Giant, who flees over everybody. And then he redirects with 3 Sirens on the 11 Swiftide onto the cannon, contact it. We do nothing to each other in combat. He makes me flee, I break on a 6 rerollable, pursues onto the Death Star and stick me in place with the Death Star. Means I have a giant here on the back line fleeing, was going to rally of course, but still I lost the cannon already. And this time I didn't kill the Rope Harvester, I was able to countercharge with Myrmidon. Obviously that's the same kind of complicated game, with other type of mistakes. Maybe this time just the magic was a bit too far, which was problematic, but at the same time, I mean, I have the feeling that this matchup is complicated for the Ogre, because he has too many tools, he's well built, I don't have early cannon shot on the Scourge, meaning he can come forward, come at me, and there is the Myrmidon problematic, which are really tough to handle for my Death Star, meaning I don't think I have any chance of really getting the scenario. So I think if he does the same deployment next time, I would just probably be in the opposite corner, meaning the Myrmidon will come at me, but very, very late, because they need a lot of time to come at me. And he can come with Scourge, things like that, but Blazing would be really far away, so I could just play quite defensive on the side and do more like a refused match, because I don't think I have much chances to play on the whole board, and my Death Star has too many problems in this game. So I think it's problematic for me to face this list, because he has too many tools to deal with me. As I've told you, super amount of threats, 3 things that I cannot have chaff, which are good against me because they reroll to wound the flies, they have toxics and so on. You see, there are too many things that I have difficulties to handle, too many things where I need my magic and my shooting to deal with, which is problematic, because obviously I need to do wounds to Blazing before I do anything. And in this case I was able to kill Blazing Glory quite early on, but still there is the same problem. I mean, the Myrmidon will come at me, Scourge will come at me, and obviously I think on turn 3 it was like there, or turn 2 like there with the Scourge. I had to move back, I have 1 cannon shot plus magic. If not, he has like a 8 Swift Stride to charge my Death Star, and if he comes in, basically that's again game over. So we didn't play until the end, but I think situation was similar, complicated, because he was able to deal with Giant with countercharge of Myrmidon, and then he can slowly come at me with Flies, Scourge, Myrmidon, and basically I cannot deal from distance with all these threats. So he has still time to use Blazing, maybe to chaff me and make sure he can get a charge from Myrmidon like he did on game 1 and just clean me. So very complicated game. I think I've it's not like I had the feeling it was, I think I had the feeling it was more, I had more tools, it was more even before the game, maybe. I had some tools to threat him, but I think when you see on the board how his list works, and the mechanic, and how he was able to be aggressive at me, I think this leaves me with a low chance to win the game, but rather in a team event. If I had to play this game, I would try to be maybe more conservative in the approach and try to start to be the first to shoot and try to cause him problem to come at me maybe. We'll see. I'm not sure about starting, because it's always good to see how he deploys, because if I start, the problem is he can be in the face-to-face to me with Myrmidon, which is problematic. So I think I need to counter deploy still and let him start and let him come at me, but maybe make sure that in this case, if I take the right corner, maybe it's more difficult for him. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, guys, that's it. That was complicated first game. Second tournament, crippling rights, that I participate at. Second time that I get beaten by Demon turn 1, round 1, which is problematic because you don't like playing a tournament where you lose heavily round 1, because it's only 3 games, so you know that you won't do much in the tournament, basically. So we'll see against who I'm paired for round 2. I hope I can do better than that with my list, definitely. I think the list is good, but this time it was just too hard. Very well played by Ivan, of course. A well-constructed demon list with a lot of tools, which are really good at the moment, so congrats to him, fair play. Looking forward to see what he can do against other opponents in the future rounds of the tournament. Thanks to you all for watching, and talk to you soon on my channel. Bye.